We're deep in the heart of summer, which means it's bicycle season. Bicycles on the roads, bicycles everywhere. And with traffic comes accidents. We're going to talk about what happens when bicycles are involved in accidents with cars on this week's Monday Morning Lawyer. That's right. This is your accident and injury guy here from my Elkton office. Jobeth Bowers here, coming to talk to you about something that we definitely get an uptick of calls about during the summer. Lots of questions left and right because when the weather gets nice, people ditch the cars. Not everybody, but get out there and they're on their bicycles. And as a result, anybody on the road is susceptible to an accident, no matter how careful, no matter how cautious you are, because, well, other people out there driving may not be so cautious. So today we're going to talk about bicycles on roadways, bicycle laws here in Maryland. How are they treated? How are they different? How are they the same? And everywhere in between. We see a handful of these every year, and that is really just out of a subset of us handling these cases here in Cecil County, which is where most of our work comes from. There are really two places that we get these accident cases from. It's here, and then we get a lot of them down and around Ocean City. We do get some calls from the Delaware beaches that we will link up to colleagues that we have in Delaware who practice there. I will tell you everything that I'm going to talk about here is based on Maryland law, Maryland accident. So if you had something that happened in Delaware, feel free to call my office. I'm going to link you up with somebody that I trust in Delaware who can take care of that for you. But today we're talking about bicycles, not motorcycles, but bicycles, and how they are treated here in Maryland. Overall, and to put this whole thing into a nutshell, Maryland law considers bicycles to be basically vehicles. All right. They are authorized users of most roadways. Now, some of the major highways like 95, some of the bridges, they will definitely have signage that tell you do not take, no bikes on this roadway or the other. Other than that, they're supposed to be behaving the same way as a regular vehicle, and they're supposed to ride, as far as other rules, like single file if they're in traffic areas. Obviously, if they are in an area that has a a marked bike lane. Look, you try to say that 3 times fast. Marked bike lane. Good luck. They stay in that. Here's where it comes into play. All right. It comes into play because as a driver of a vehicle, and this is good for you if you are a bicyclist to know, they have an extra layer of caution. You have to be on the lookout for bicyclists, and you should be on the lookout for any vehicles on the roadway, but especially the ones that are smaller and the ones that take up less space, that's easier for them to inadvertently get into a blind spot. If you are making a turn, you need to be extra cautious because you have an extra duty to yield the right of way to bicyclists in ways that you might not in other vehicles. It is completely above board and legit with or without that bike lane. Let's say you're going up to an intersection and you're about to make a right-hand turn at that intersection. You need to check that blind spot and make sure there's not a bicycle coming up beside you and to the right, because if you turn into that bicyclist while you're making that right-hand turn, presumably you would have passed them on the way. So you should have seen them there and known that they were in that area, which is why it's super important to not drive and be distracted and be on your phone and things like that, or paying attention to all that stuff they taught you in driver's ed. It comes into play here. Because if you didn't see the bike go by and they happen to be in your blind spot when you're about to start making that right-hand turn, boom, you can hit the bicyclist and you are at fault. It would be treated effectively as if you're in a 2-lane road and you're further to the left making a right across another lane of traffic, because that bicyclist has a right to be in that lane the same way that you do. And their size does allow them a little bit more maneuverability. So what do we see and what do we deal with these bicycle cases? Well, I will tell you, it is very, very, very rare that we get one of these bicycle cases and our client or potential client is not seriously injured. I mean, think about it. This is the definition of bringing a knife to a gunfight. You have no protection. You're getting hit by, a huge vehicle in comparison, even if it's a small car. A compact sedan versus a bike, not pretty. Not pretty. Super important. You're a bicyclist, you get in one of these accidents, you're highly likely to have an increased level of adrenaline. And we've talked about this, directly resulting in accident, the adrenaline spikes. But you're riding a bike. You're in exercise mode. Whether you are riding it for transportation or for exercise, you've kind of already spiked that adrenaline. You're already most likely in some sort of a zone anyway. And now this accident's caused an even higher spike. The likelihood that you are seriously injured and not feeling the bulk of that pain in that moment, super high. So they're going to bring an ambulance, assuming that you're in a condition to have this conversation, because a lot of these folks that we deal with ended up getting carted to the AMBO because they lost consciousness at the scene. But if you are luckier and not in a more severe at the impact situation, go to the ambulance, get checked out. It's super, super important. And don't think that I'm telling you this because it has anything to do with your case. It is one of the very, very common scenarios where my guidance for you to get proper medical care has everything to do with the fact that whether we've got a claim or not, whether we are successful in that claim or not, whether we get you a ridiculous amount of money or not, you still have to deal with your body for the rest of your life. Even if we get you all of the available money, we get you an amazing settlement, you're super happy, you leave us an amazing 5-star review like many of our other clients have, that money's still not going to last you forever. And the body that you're in, this shell, it has to. You can replace parts, but overall, all that stuff requires a surgery. So it's super important in any of these scenarios to get the medical care that you need. Give them your health insurance, whatever it is, whether it's private health insurance, whether it's something that you got through the exchange, whether it's something that the state has set up for you. It doesn't matter what it is. Give it to them for the emergency care for sure, because it doesn't matter. You need to get this medical care whether you have a claim or not. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with ailing injuries and who knows how bad they're going to be for a long, 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 long time. And nobody wants that. So we deal with a lot of that. We see a lot of broken bones. We see a lot of surgery cases. And one of the things that's super important to note with these bicycle cases is that when you should call us right away. You really need to call us right away. The phone number's right down there below me. 885. Oh, look, I did it. 885-6200. Call my office before you call an insurance company, because one thing that I've learned in the years and years and years and decades that I've been in this business, these insurance adjusters are not attorneys. In fact, these insurance adjusters sometimes are working in remote states and don't have any specific understanding of the laws here in Maryland. I have heard some of the most ridiculous excuses from insurance adjusters for denials on liability, fault. And then we pull the statute and we say, no, this is what the law is here in Maryland. And it oftentimes is a quick turnaround and we get that liability accepted. I can tell you right now, it's better if that liability gets accepted from the start, because we've dealt with the entire process. You will get discouraged. You will most certainly get your claim denied, because most of these adjusters, they're going to do something like that if it's questionable anyway, because they assume that you're just going to go away. But B, they don't know the laws. They're not trained in the laws. They're used to dealing predominantly with car-on-car accidents. Some of them with some companies end up handling a whole hodgepodge of different things, and in homeowners insurance claims to auto accidents and everywhere in between. But for the most part, they're used to dealing with cars on cars. They probably don't even know whether or not state by state you're considered as a cyclist to be a pedestrian, or you're considered to be a vehicle itself, and what rules and what applies to you. And they're just going to throw their hands up in the air and deny the claim. I've seen it numerous times. There have been times where in less than 24 hours of us getting involved and providing the proper case law or the proper statutes, they've turned on those decisions, but the client got a denial first. So save yourself some time. Let us do it right from the very beginning, and we'll take care of you. So that's what I got today. It's not a super complex topic, but a super important one, especially as we're here right smack dab in the middle of summer. And, as we get into the, probably going to be several months of summer and fall with nice weather here, more and more cyclists on the road. Enjoy that time. Be extra careful. And like I said, if you need us, call us. That's what we're here for. And as you've noticed, any questions that you have, whether they are great for me to talk about because they're injury and accident related, or otherwise, as you've seen, we've had other guests on the podcast who have come in to talk about various topics that are outside of my wheelhouse, but I've gotten questions on, or they seem super relevant to everybody out there. We will get somebody on here. I will bring a guest on. I've done it before. I just did it last week. I will do it again because there are countless topics in which I choose to know nothing about or very little about, and certainly not enough that I would consider myself in a position to be giving you advice and guidance about. I'll leave that to somebody that handles it all day, every day. So until next time, this is your accident injury guy here, Attorney Bowers from Bowers Law. Shoot those questions to me. Get yourself on this podcast. Well, not you personally, but your questions. Get them answered on this podcast. And until next time, be safe out there. Be well.